Hey everybody, happy Tuesday, I think it is. Back on the road after 6 weeks at home trying to recuperate my back. I'm not sure yet if I came back too soon. I worked for about 6 or 7 hours today. I'm trying to ease back into it. And my back's pretty sore. I'm hoping it's just soreness and it's not any re-injuring the discs. But I guess we'll find out soon enough. Välkommen tillbaka. Tack för sist, för det som är norsk. I've been doing this, I got back into YouTube. Well, first of all, let me say this. I started this YouTube channel almost 4 years ago, I believe. And it started as almost exclusively talking about Norway and Norwegian history and being from Norway, kind of my story. But it's been a few years. So I thought maybe I would just kind of, for those of you that are interested, and if you're not, that's cool. Why would you be interested in my history? I don't know. But it's kind of a cool story. So I'm going to tell it again here briefly. I won't drag it out too long. Excuse me. So I was born in Norway, December 1963. And in May of 1968, end of May, we moved to Canada, of all places. So I was 4.5. Obviously, I've been speaking Norwegian for a while at that point. None of us spoke English. We were actually supposed to move to Australia. Supposed to. My dad got a wild hair up his butt. I'm not sure why. My mom has said, if she knew what she knew or was who she was 15 or 20 years later, she would have told him to pound sand. But back then, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but back then, most wives just kind of did what their husbands wanted to do. And my dad was not a domineering dude. He was not disrespectful to my mother ever. It was a team thing. But, he had a vision or whatever he had, God told him to leave Norway. That's a whole nother debate for another time. My dad is a very devout Mormon. He's maybe the best man I've ever known. He's honest and sincere, and he's just a good dude. He's 83. My mom just turned 84. And they're just great people. But she was sad. My mom had 10 siblings. My dad had 4. And so, I've got so many aunts and uncles and so many cousins that I just never really got to know very well. One of my cousins who's really close to my age, on my mom's side, I'm the oldest grandchild. And I have a cousin who's just a few months younger than me named Willie, although in Norwegian you'd say Willy. They don't say the W sound, it's Willy. They have the double V, which is W, but it's the same sound as a V. He says he remembers the day after we moved, because we were like best buddies, and seeing like a little car that I used to drive around, one of those pedal cars from back in the 60s. And it was sitting in front of our house, and he said he just started crying because his best friend was gone, which makes me really sad. Another cousin that I was really close to when we were young actually passed away several years ago now. His name was Stain. And I had not talked to him in quite a few years. One of my other cousins, I'm off topic here, I'm sorry. These allergies, I'm sorry, they're kicking my butt. Another cousin was visiting me and told me, Stain didn't have a whole lot of time to live. And so I called him, and we spoke for probably an hour in Norwegian. This is maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I don't remember exactly. And we just laughed. I said, I'm going to get back there to see you. And he said, no, you're not going to get here in time. And sure enough, just a couple weeks later, he passed away. But he told my other cousin that he got such a kick out of talking to me because we were such good friends when we were little kids. So yeah, we definitely missed out on that, and it makes me sad. We're going back this summer. There's a cousin that I am really close to. She's 69 years old. I actually don't know if she's alive. I got a call 2 days ago that said she had a few hours to live. And I have not followed up on that, partly because I don't want to know. I told her just a couple of weeks ago that she was going to be there when I came back. I get sidetracked, and that's a very emotional thing. So let's get back to the story. So we moved to Canada, and like I said, nobody spoke a word of English. I don't know how we did it. I do know kind of how we ended up there. So my dad had decided that we were moving to Australia. There was a guy from this little town that we ended up moving to in Canada. His wife had passed away, and he was kind of just doing this traveling to get his mind off, or at least his way of grieving his wife. And he was Mormon. He ended up in our little, and when it's a really small gathering of people, they don't call it a ward, they call it a branch. And he ended up there at church, ended up talking to my dad. I don't know how he talked to my dad. Somebody must have spoke English. Maybe he spoke Norwegian. I don't remember. I'm wondering if maybe he served a Norwegian mission, like in the 40s. Well, it wouldn't have been the 40s, 50s probably. Maybe. Anyway, they spoke, and he convinced my dad to move to this little town in the middle of nowhere, which I'm very grateful for. I loved growing up there. It was an amazing town. My best friend growing up says he remembers me only speaking Norwegian. So, yeah, we ended up there, and the main reason we ended up there is because when I was 1 year old, my parents converted to the Mormon Church. In Norway, almost everybody's part of the Lutheran Church. Most people don't go to church other than a few times a year. And he just felt, I don't know if he would say it was a vision or calling from God, that he was meant to leave Norway. I wish we'd have stayed a few more years just so I had more memories, had gotten to know more of my cousins, aunts, and uncles better. I'm really excited to take my family back there this summer and introduce them to as many of them as I can. I probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 or 50 cousins, first cousins. And for sure I'll get together with some of them, but I don't know if it'll work with all of them. So yeah, that's kind of how we ended up in Canada. And then I went to college in 1981 down in Idaho, and eventually went to BYU, where I graduated in, well, I won't say how long it took me. It took me many years to graduate, because I went and got married, then I had a kid, and I left school, and I came back, and I left, and anyway, it took a long time. But my degree was in zoology, and the plan was to go to medical school. But after all those years to get that degree, I just didn't have it in me anymore. I have a lot of respect for somebody who can go all the way through medical school, do the internship, do all the residency, and I just didn't have it in me. One of my really good friends did go to medical school. We were going to kind of go together, and I just couldn't. So I was going to get my teaching certificate. I was going to teach high school and hopefully coach basketball. But I didn't look into what that paid. And when I graduated in 94, like I said, it took me a long time to graduate. The pay was around $17,000 a year, and that just wasn't going to cut it. I'd been painting houses in the summers to work my way through school, and I made more than that in the summer. So I started my own company that I've been running now for, going on 40 years pretty soon. And I'm hoping to retire in a couple of years, but that's kind of my story. I will get into more stuff if there's interest in it. I've noticed there seems to be a lot of interest in the Mormon angle of this, even though I've gotten a few comments like, nobody cares. Who cares? Why are you telling us this? I don't know. Why are you commenting on it? Actually, I appreciate the comments, even when they're negative ones like that. But there just seems to be a fascination about it. And I think part of it is the whole stigma that some people have about it being a cult. And I'm not going to argue with anybody. If you believe it's a cult, you believe it's a cult. That's up to you. I don't. I was part of it for many years. And I say all the time, I have respect for the religion. I just don't need it in my life. I'm very content and happy with the way I'm living my life now. So, yeah, I just thought I would share that story. Maybe I'll talk in the future kind of about how my decision to actually go on a mission and then getting called to Norway, which that was a big deal. That was a huge deal for my parents. I can picture perfectly. So if when you're Mormon and you get your mission calling, I don't know how it works now, but in 1982, it was a big envelope that came. It was signed by, at the time, the prophet / president was Spencer W. Kimball. It was signed in his handwriting. You could see the shaky handwriting. I'm sure I have that paper somewhere still. But when I read, "You've been called to serve in the Norway Oslo mission," I can still hear my mom just screaming in delight. She was so excited. And I was pretty excited too. You know, I didn't want to go, no offense to anywhere in the States, but I didn't want to go to like Connecticut or Idaho or Florida. I wanted to go somewhere overseas if I was going to do it. So I was pretty excited about that. But anyway, that's probably enough for now. Thank you to all of you that are watching these videos. They're definitely hit or miss. I notice some videos get quite a few views from my standard. I mean, I'm not some YouTube sensation. So for me, even when it's a couple hundred views, I'm humbled. I think that's awesome that a couple hundred people would watch one of my videos. And the one I did a few weeks ago, the freaky story that wasn't enough detail, I think that's over 40,000 views now, which that really blows my mind. And I'm having fun doing it, so I'm going to keep doing it as long as people are watching. Hopefully we can grow this community. You know, it's I have a lot of ideas, a lot of things I want to talk about, a lot of stories I want to tell, and I read, or at least try to read, every comment. So if there's something you want me to talk about, or like somebody just mentioned the other day, you should talk about muscle cars. Maybe that was Empty Nesters. They're pretty cool. They follow and watch all the videos. So hey guys, thanks for watching. I'm supposed to be an empty nester. We were empty nesters for about 6 months, and then COVID hit and everybody came home. All four adult, not all four. My oldest daughter didn't. She's married on, 4 kids. They got their own deal going, but 3 of them came home. And we have my youngest daughter living there. She's fantastic. It's fun having her there. The only reason I would want her to move out is for her own benefit. She's an amazing person, and I know she's got goals in life, and she just got a new job, and I'm proud of her, and I'm actually very proud of all my kids. They're amazing people. They're polite, they're courteous. That's probably the same thing. It's probably redundant, but yeah. I want to try and get some of my family members on here with me. They're all hesitant. Most of them are not very into they're into social media, but they don't want to be on it. I tell her, my youngest daughter, she's 28, I'm like, you would freaking kill it on social media. But you got to go with who you are. So I will try. I did do a video with my youngest son maybe a year and a half ago, sitting in my little kind of podcast studio that my kids built for me in my backyard. So if you're interested, you go check that out. His name's Cooper, and we're on for about an hour, I think. So anyway, I should probably get to bed and get ready for work tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Takk for denne gang. Vi snakkes igjen snart. Ser frem til å reise til Norge i august. Looking very forward to going home to Norway. I still call it home. It's here. It's never leaving me. I'm an American. I love the United States, and I know we got issues, but I love this country. But Norway is just in my heart, my soul. So you guys all have a fantastic night. Thanks so much for watching. Dig y'all. Peace. Love.